Hi, welcome to All Things Possible. I'm Kris.
And I'm Bill.
We're excited to have you with us this week. We're going to be talking to you about what you did not know about overcoming fear. And I'm excited about this because it's totally new information and a new way to look at things.
It's a new way that we've never done with our clients before. And it's just kind of an insight that when you go, aha. And so that's what we're going to share with you is how to overcome fear. And what you didn't know is that fear is underlying all of the issues and challenges you're facing. There's a component of fear. And if we learn to recognize that, it changes everything.
But before we jump into
before we get into that,
if you haven't joined our community, join us at allthingspossible.biz.
Right here.
What do you call him? I don't remember what he calls him, but join us on our website. There's free gifts for you. There's tools. There's all kinds of information, and we'd love to have you join our community. We love our All Things Possible community, and would love for you to be a part of it. But let's jump into this. So around our world right now with the pandemic and with all that's going on, there's a lot of fear. And that is not the number one reason why we're going to talk to you about this today. Everything in our world, every emotion, everything that you have going on can have a component of fear. And as we studied this and as we've worked with clients and as we've gone forward with this, it's been like this big aha, this big light bulb that turned on.
okay, so years ago we developed this emotional spiral. And I'm going to put this right up on the screen of the video there. But on this emotional spiral, on the top, is positive emotions. There's a gray bar in the center.
I'll play Vanna.
There's a gray bar in the center, and underneath is the negative emotions. Now, we love the positive emotions. We want to encourage them. The work that we do is in getting rid of the negative emotions. Obviously, this is not a complete list. It's just a general thing to get you the idea. But with the emotional spiral, once you start building, it's like a vortex that takes you more positive. But if you get into the negative side and start dwelling on the negative, it's kind of like stuff.
It sucks.
It's like Cheerios in the toilet bowl. It will suck you in and flush you away like the Cheerios. Okay? Who puts Cheerios in toilet bowls? Anyway.
We did during potty training of 3 boys. Sink them.
So as you look at this, and you may even want to pause the video and look at the emotions on the chart and just see if there's a negative component or a component of fear under each of these negative emotions. And some of you are going to say, no, that's not right. But if you look deep enough, you will find the fear under each and every negative emotion and challenge that you're facing. Let's just take a look at a few of those emotions and talk about that. Now, one of the things that I think that you would most likely think is wrong is the emotion of anger. I mean, have you ever seen an angry person? Do they look afraid at all? They're the opposite of afraid, aren't they?
They're all powerful and angry and have all
and
of
aggressive, and they're going
aggressive energy.
There's
right?
no fear. In fact, you take the fiercest animal in the animal kingdom. It can be a mother bear with a cub. Okay, she is one angry bear.
If her cubs aren't safe.
But that's the thing. What causes her to be so angry? She is the most dangerous animal. She is unpredictable. Not because she's so angry. Underneath that anger is obviously, you think about it, a baby. She's afraid that her baby is going to be hurt, and that makes her a crazy lady bear.
Well, and as you think about humans, not just bears, right? How many of you have ever seen a mama bear that is upset, angry, and aggressive because their child is hurt or being picked on or having
When you say mama
bullied,
bear, you mean a two-legged mama bear?
Like a human mama bear.
Okay,
I'm a big mama bear.
I just wanted to make sure.
So when our children are we're worried that they're going to be in a bad way or that they're going to be hurt and they're in danger, that instinct, that mama bear instinct comes out in all of us mothers.
That fear turns into something very different than what you would think on the surface is fear. Okay, but it's the fear of something that causes that. What about grief? And this is something that we've dealt with, but particularly you. It's been people from your family that we've lost. With your brother and your cousin, for instance. How does grief fit into fear? Now, before we get into that first, or where does fear fit into grief? Grief is a natural process. One who does not grieve, there's an unhealthy, you got a time bomb sitting there if you do not go through a grieving process at your healthy pace, and it's different for everyone. But it's when you get stuck in grief and it goes on and on and on, and you're still in that grieving process. Where's the fear underneath that?
Well, a lot of fear, like for me, the loss of my twin brother, there's a fear you'll never see them again. And the fear of how am I going to go on? And how can I get out of this cycle? I know when my twin brother committed suicide, I went into a deep, deep, dark depression. And you start to fear that you'll never come out of it, that you'll never be back to normal, that you'll never get beyond that.
And with him being your twin, there was a fear that you were not okay without him with you on the planet.
I felt like half of me died.
Yes, there was that fear, the fear that you're not going to be okay, that they're not going to be okay, that life can't go on. And yes, life changes, but it's that fear. And if you realize if you're in grieving, stop and think, what are you afraid of? And sometimes just by realizing that, it's like, you know what, I am okay, I can go on, it's going to be hard, then you can let go of the grief. But there is a process to grieving. I'm not saying you should never grieve, absolutely.
And that fear is not the only process you're feeling when you are in grief with the loss of a loved one. But a lot of people feel like they're in grief with the pandemic, that they've lost their rights or their abilities or the way, to go out and do other things, friendships, relationships, being able to see people, going out to eat, right?
Yeah.
And in those instances, there is an underlying fear.
The fear that we've lost, that we can't get it back.
Yeah, that we'll never get it back, that it's never going to go back to normal.
And that if it doesn't, that we're not going to be okay. Okay.
Well, and you've seen how during this, and how the fears have started to build, it became very known when we started having all of the riots and all of the chaos with everyone starting to feel that fear and that anger and everything building. It made it even worse.
Yes. So the next one?
Overwhelm?
Not me, ever. I always have plenty of time to get everything done.
If you're watching the spiral, overwhelm is my point that I know. It is my warning signal going boop, 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 boop. You're headed down to get sucked down into those negative emotions. And overwhelm can be really hard when you have a lot to do and you're not getting it done. When you feel like you're not going to make the deadline and you've got a lot more on your plate than what you feel like you can handle. It's a fear of not being enough. It's a fear of not meeting the deadline, of not getting things done, right?
Of not being good enough, not having enough. And yes, we all get piled on at times, but it's when it's like, you know what? I can do this, or there is more than I can handle, so I'm going to handle what I can and let the rest go. Because that is my limit. That could be the difference of looking at that and saying, you know what? If this is too much, I'm going to do what I can, and I'm not going to worry about the things that I can't do anything about. Again, that may be a little oversimplistic, but start to look at if you're stuck in overwhelm, what are you afraid of?
Yeah, and if you can get out of that fear, then you can actually plan, identify, and move forward with the tasks that you have at hand, instead of being in the overwhelm and having it feel like it's sinking you.
So many times what a person in overwhelm looks like is, and they're not going anywhere or doing anything. Let me do that again.
That's somebody who doesn't know overwhelm. That does not look like overwhelm to me.
Okay, you show me what overwhelm looks like.
Like,
But still, she's not moving. It's the same thing. And you
I
can
hope
get
you
stuck.
guys have as much fun with us as we have doing this.
Okay, on to the next one. Guilt.
I'm like, are you going to tell them or am I?
I was going to keep them in suspense.
So guilt. Why do you feel guilty?
What are you afraid of with your guilt? Guilt is generally because you've done something wrong.
Right.
You
Are you
made a
worried
mistake.
that you might get caught? Are you worried that you're going to make a mistake? Are you worried how you'll be portrayed or what people will think? Right?
Are you worried that you can never be okay again, that you can never make it right? Do you fear that you can't turn it around, that you can't be enough? Do you fear that people are always going to see you as your mistake? Okay? Once you realize, say, what do I fear? And that's just what we're saying. This is not obviously going to work for every single problem you have. But what we are saying is that if you realize, look for the underlying component of fear and confront the fear, and you'll resolve many of these problems much quicker.
Yes, a lot faster than, than a lot of other processes.
Than just saying, oh, I'm so guilty, I'm so guilty, I'm so guilty. Change the phrase, change the dialogue from I feel guilty to what am I afraid of? Change the dialogue with each of these and anything you're dealing with. Ask yourself, what am I afraid of? And you will, many times in asking that question, find the solution, be able to resolve it, move through it, move past it, and go on.
Most of the time when you can identify the problem, you can identify the fear, you can identify what's going on, then you can start to find a solution. And that is when you can have progress forward.
Absolutely. Go back to that mother bear. Once you can identify...
The real bear or the mother bear?
Either one. I think it's easier to deal with the four-legged kind. They're not as complex. Okay? But
Don't agree.
once you can identify, okay, this bear is being crazy lady on me, the four-legged bear, is being all crazy lady on me. Why is she being crazy lady?
Quit riding the cub like a little rodeo. Get off the baby bear, right?
Yeah. You realize what is making her crazy? What's making her act the way she is? It's fear for her baby. So if you can, what do? You back away off screen, off the bear screen, to realize that her baby is in no danger. You remove that fear and the anger goes away.
Right. She goes on her way.
So, one last one we'll just touch on.
We got to be quick though.
Okay, we're going to talk about anxiety.
You just wasted time.
Anxiety. Now, before we get into this one, anxiety can be a big thing versus the emotion of anxiety versus a clinical diagnosis of anxiety. They kind of have roots in the same thing, but with a diagnosis or anxiety to where it's hard to leave your house or hard to do certain things, you need more help. But helping you deal with this can be, change the question, what am I afraid of?
Right, because a lot of times when you don't want to leave the house and you feel you can't, or you're in traffic and you start to have anxiety, a lot of times it's the fear of what's going to happen. It's a fear of an accident. It's a fear of what will happen if I leave the house. So a lot of times with anxiety, it is an underlying fear, and when you can get control of the fear, you will start to control the anxiety.
Yes, and I have a lot of people come to me with anxiety, and I've had great results in just a few short sessions, turning that around in their lives. But what I find many, many times, when I ask people what triggers your anxiety, it's like, well, driving, talking to people. What is it about driving or talking to people? I don't know, I just get really anxious. That's when you say, change the question to what are you afraid of when you're driving in traffic? What are you afraid of when you're talking to people?
Or what happened to cause the fear in you that is now, it's coming back up.
And drill that down, and you'll have greater success in resolving issues.
Well, we were going to promise a short video, so anything else, Bill?
Yes, if you'll go back to the beginning of this video and play it faster, it will seem shorter. One last thing. So we talked about the positive and the negative emotions. There's a quote out there, a Brazilian smart guy, Paulo Freire. Paulo Freire says that fear is the opposite of love. Now you might think that hate is the opposite of love, but it's not. It's fear. Fear is the absence of love. And if you look at all the positive emotions, there's a component of love in them. If you look at all the negative ones, there's a component of fear. So just a little aha there. Fear is the opposite of love. If you want to be happy, love and don't fear. Overcome your fears.
Love more, fear less, right? Fear less.
Fearless.
Awesome, huh?
Oh,
We're
that's
glad
good.
you were here with us. Again, if you haven't joined our community, allthingspossible.biz, we would love to have you with us and be on this journey with us. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you next time.
Come back and watch us some more. One time we're going to be serious.
No, we're not.
It can happen.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.